One fateful day in the year 2007, a young girl heaved a heavy sigh that rivaled one of a stressed out grown-up. It was the end of a very long day of the fourth grade, and there was homework to do. "I hate homework," she groaned, and to this the girl sitting across from her replied, "I wouldn't have expected to hear that from you, Leanna." Leanna was baffled, because in what world would a 9-year-old child relish the idea of having homework? Okay, I don't know how much longer I can do this in third person. I'm Leanna. That moment in the fourth grade was very defining because it made me realize, perhaps for the first time, how other people saw me. Throughout my childhood, I had people assume a lot of things about me. That I couldn't speak English well, that I didn't grow up watching Disney movies and exclusively watched obscure Chinese cartoons instead, that I was smart and good at math, that I liked doing homework. It's likely that there are kids out there who have a burning passion for learning and relish every single homework assignment, but I'm willing to bet that's not most kids. And it certainly wasn't me. A lot of the time, people only assume that about me because I was Asian. I know this for a fact because the only way that people would have known that I was smart was if I spoke up a lot in class, and I didn't do that because I was really shy. Honestly, even now, I can barely even muster up the courage to make a phone call, but exposing my social ineptitude is not the point of today's video. The point is that I hated school, especially once I got to high school and the classes started to get really hard. I hated how everybody around me was so competitive. I hated that my parents put so much pressure on me. I hated that there existed the stereotype that if you were Asian, you had to be smart. As much as I hated it, it was a stereotype that I felt the need to uphold. Out of all the harmful Asian stereotypes, this was the one that was more than just a stereotype. It was an expectation. I didn't want to be a dumb Asian. It's one thing to be dumb, but it's another thing to be dumb when everybody is expecting you to be smart. I wanted desperately to get into a great school and make my parents proud. I graduated high school number 7 in my class. Something as small and insignificant as class rank would only be remembered by someone who spent 4 years stressing over her grades and checking them every single day. That was me. Looking back, being rank 7 was something to be proud of, but in the moment I felt it wasn't good enough. Even though people thought of me as smart, I never felt smart. Sure, my grades were fine, but what didn't show up on the transcript was how much I struggled behind the scenes. There were times where I just didn't know how to do my homework and had to copy it off someone else or look up the answer online. I was so frustrated with myself that I didn't just immediately understand new concepts like a lot of my friends seemed to do. So I thought I was stupid. Maybe it was because I was friends with a lot of people who had better grades than me. Maybe it was because my AP teachers never gave me any praise or encouragement. But why would they? Because in their classes, I was only average. This feeling of inadequacy was only perpetuated when, senior year, college admissions results came in, and the rejections came flowing in. My parents had spent a lot of time and money on making sure that I was well-rounded, signing me up for acrobatics classes, music classes, and Chinese classes, and SAT camp, all for the purpose of appealing to colleges. I applied to a lot of schools, some of which were Ivy Leagues. I knew that getting accepted to a school like Stanford would be a long shot, but that didn't stop my parents from holding out hope that I would get in anyway. I got rejected. I would have been willing to bet my life on that happening. If you've been subscribed for a while, or if you know me in real life, you might know that I ended up getting into UC San Diego for mechanical engineering. This was a great achievement, but it was met with little to no excitement from people around me. Because of all the expectations people had for me and all the time and effort that I had put in to make sure that my high school resume was the best it could be, my admissions results were disappointing, or at best, only adequate. The 4 years of high school that I had spent leading up to this moment were difficult. There had been many sleepless nights and mental breakdowns. I had a club meeting to go to every day of the week in an effort to look good for colleges, and because of that, a lot of the time, I didn't have time to eat lunch. I was very underweight all of high school, and in junior year, my hair was falling out. I didn't know why at the time, but it's literally because I was malnourished and not sleeping enough. I ended up picking UCSD because it was the most prestigious school that I got into. That's really all it was. After 4 years of suffering through high school, I wanted to go to a school that would most clearly show by how elite or prestigious it was, how hard I worked, so that I could make myself feel that all the pain was worth it in the end. You always hear people talking about how college is supposed to be the best 4 years of your life, so I went in with high expectations. I want to be clear, overall, college was good, and I'm so grateful to have been able to go. I know not everybody gets to go, and the last thing I want to do is come off super ungrateful because that's not the case. I loved being at UCSD. I loved being in San Diego. I met so many people there who are so important to me, and I'm eternally grateful to have them in my life. Not only that, I got to move out at 18, and as cheesy as it sounds, discover who I was. That was priceless to me. It was a very significant 4 years of my life, but best? I refused to believe those were it. None of the things that I loved about being a college student had anything to do with school, and many people, when they romanticize college, tend to forget that actual school and schoolwork is 90% of college, and school is not fun, at least it wasn't for me. All the pain and suffering that high school came with, college did also. Sleepless nights, crying about grades, feeling stupid, comparing myself to others. Maybe school would have been better if I didn't hate studying engineering and I actually cared about what I was learning, but thinking back, I have never really liked a class in my entire life. The only class that I enjoyed in high school was AP Studio Art, and that's probably because I didn't have to study. Yes, I was a good student, but not because I was passionate, but because I had to be. A lot of people told me that it's okay to change your major as many times as you want, but the truth was, I stuck with engineering even though I hated what I was learning, because I didn't know what to change my major to. I was at a complete loss. I felt like I wasn't passionate about anything, and I beat myself up for not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't want to bother finding out, because if there was something that I hated more than my major, it was being in school. I didn't care what I studied, I just knew that the idea of extending my graduation date made me want to throw up. I was unhappy and stressed out a lot, and it was because of school. I was okay with the idea of majoring in something I wasn't super passionate about, because I knew that whatever job I ended up in, no matter how much I suffered, if at all, I would at least be getting paid. And at 5 p.m. every single day, my time would be mine. When you're a student, you go to class, and when you're done with class and you go home, you have homework to worry about. You have to study. You can never catch a break. Being a student was draining and exhausting, and not to mention expensive. I wish that somebody had talked to me about how serious being in debt is. I feel like in the US, being in debt is so normalized, but it really shouldn't be, at least to the extent that it is. I currently have tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt, and while I don't regret going to college right after high school, I wish somebody had talked to me about it and helped me understand the magnitude of the financial decision I was making. Do I regret picking engineering? No. Because I have this degree, I was able to get my current job that's paying me more than a job that I would have gotten without one. I have so many more options than I would if I hadn't gotten a degree, and I think that's what going to college is about, having options afterwards. Those of you who have been watching me for at least a couple months might know this about me, but I don't intend on being an engineer for the rest of my life. I actually knew pretty early on in my college career that my passions lie elsewhere, but admitting it to myself was hard. For the career path that I want to pursue, I don't need to go back to college. Thank goodness for that. And if it doesn't work out, hey, I have an engineering degree. You can do a lot with that, and I'm bound to find something that I like. Even though I found out what I truly want to do with my life, I'm not doing it yet, because I need money to be able to have the freedom to pursue it. When college was finally over, I kept thinking about how I'd spent most of my life doing something that I hated, which was studying, and how I picked engineering despite not being super passionate about it and put myself through the 4 years anyway, because I wanted to make my parents proud and also get a stable job. I didn't do it because I truly wanted it deep inside, and I just had this overwhelming desire to never ever do anything that I didn't absolutely love ever again. I got tunnel vision. I was like, I'm moving to LA and I'll figure out the rest later. But the thing is, I couldn't afford to do that. I still can't afford to do that. I gotta pay the bills. I gotta save up first. So if you're like me and you stressed through college and finally got the diploma you worked so hard for, only to realize you're not exactly passionate about what you worked so hard to study, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Firstly, work is nothing like school, so you might be surprised. You might actually find passion in your work. For me, I don't hate my job. I like the people I work with, and my job is infinitely less stressful than being a student was. And at the end of the day, I log off my computer and the rest of the day is mine. And I can't tell you how good that feels. I think people who say that college is the best 4 years of their life end up just doing something they're not passionate about, and they have to wake up every single day and go to work a job they don't even give a fuck about. And that sucks. Or as time passes by, they slowly start to romanticize college as a time in their lives where they still had summer breaks and were kind of mini adults and didn't have so many responsibilities or bills to pay. And I might look back on my own college career fondly for those reasons, but my goodness, I'm gonna think of all the studying I had to do and snap out of it immediately. I think if you at least don't hate the job that you end up in, things get better after college for sure. Of course, there are a lot of people out there who just get it right on their first try and go to college for something they truly love. But for those of us who didn't, it's okay. It'll be okay. It's never too late to change career paths. It's never too late to start something you're passionate about. You are in charge of your own life, and if you're truly, really passionate about something, I trust you're going to try your best to do it. I know I will. I hated school, but because of it, I now have the opportunity to work toward what I want, and a long list of backup careers, and that's something I'll always be grateful for. School isn't supposed to be the peak of your life. There are so many more exciting opportunities and great milestones that come after graduation, and I'm so ready to experience it all. Here's to not having to go to school ever again.
I see me go ID, no, I really can't bother. Sorry, mama, I don't fit in honors. Nagging me 100 times, this is still the product, so I just want pop it off, jump in the whip with sevens up. Feelings like some soda, I prefer to keep it bottled up. Nobody can copy us, I put in work way too much. Go mind your business like the witness, we all knew you was.